Welcome to the Courage to Succeed podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Harris. The Courage to Succeed podcast is about delivering information that support the development of small businesses. We offer suggestions of business improvement for your consideration based on our decades of business ownership experience. The Courage to Succeed podcast is available on Amazon, Apple, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Sponsored by Shore LLC, a full-service small business consulting firm that specializes in deploying first-hand knowledge gained from decades of experience, using the resources of time-tested and proven associates to advise and guide you towards a path of successful growth. In other words, we've been there and have done that. Today's topic, speak up. This week's message is inspired by the award-winning actress Taraji P. Henson. I just happened to find myself listening to the 2022 commencement at Howard University, where she was the keynote speaker. During her speech, she offered the graduates several pieces of advice to take with them as they leave the campus and embark on their life journey. One particular statement caught my attention. She encouraged them to, quote, speak up, even when your voice trembles. Now I use the term message to describe this week's presentation because in this episode, I'm moving away from my normal business advice style presentation to give you what might be considered a message about taking a stand and speaking up. Her speech inspired me because there have been countless times during my business career when I either held my tongue or failed to push through on my thoughts or advice when challenged by someone of authority or position. There have also been countless times when I've held back out of politeness from saying, quote, I told you so. Not taking a stand on a subject or matter that I had confidence in, my knowledge or experience on, because of who opposed the advice, left me feeling knotted, frustrated, and I'm sure contributed to my stress. When addressing an issue that could be a source of trouble for a company, I would voice my opinion to the president, the leadership, or owners, and with just a little pushback, which is normal in an executive level discussion, I would just hold my tongue. When what I tried to mitigate or prevent from coming to pass, or that came to pass, I would also withhold the criticism or the feedback. And this is a tough way to go through life. This habit of holding back even spilled over into personal life with friends, my children, and even my spouse. I found myself, when giving advice that was not immediately received or that was met with resistance, just getting used to shrugging my shoulders, looking at them and saying something like, "Oh well, that's what you want." It takes courage to speak truth to authority, especially when you are of a generation like me. We're being raised with comments like, "Speak when spoken to," or "Children are made to be seen and not heard," or "Stay in your place," or "This is grown folks conversation," was often handed down from a point of wisdom designed to protect you from the world. Overcoming these lifelong mental challenges and finding strength to break through while in the heat of a discussion takes practice, sometimes a plan, and often courage. As a business owner, sometimes that authority is your customer. Regardless of their position or rank, you want to be careful not to say or do something that may be perceived as negative or disrespectful. However, I've found that developing the muscle to speak up when you are confident in your information and willing to take responsibility for your opinion can be rewarding and even healthy. Your customer will remember and recognize you when they realize that your speaking up saved them money or helped them to win. If you tell them after the fact that you had better advice, I can assure you that they will chastise you for not speaking up. So there are a couple of things I started to do so that I could build the strength to speak up. Number one, I would write down my thoughts or position on the meeting subject. This allowed me to read my response to the leadership, minimizing the emotion in my comments. Number two, I would say something like, quote, "Just for the record," prior to sharing my opinion. And number three, be ready to present supporting information or facts about the subject. Think about things or habits that you can implement that allow you to get your word in when you know it can be of value to your client or organization. So don't just take my advice. Take the advice of the multiple award-winning actress, Miss Henson, and quote, "Speak up, even when your voice trembles." Thank you for listening to this episode of the Courage to Succeed podcast. For more encouragement or tips on how to speak up, reach out to Shore LLC at www.scottupshaw.net. The Courage to Succeed podcast is sponsored by Shore LLC and is available wherever you get your podcasts. It can also be found on our website at scottupshaw.net. I'm your host, Dennis Harris.